And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Triple H 100.1 FM. You are live in the studio with Small Biz Matters with Alexi Boyd here in Hornsby and across the community radio network around Australia. Thank you for joining me again this week. Welcome to all my lovely small business colleagues, and I hope you've had a productive week and are ready for the heat, which is about to hit us in Hornsby today and across Sydney. So keep yourselves cool, drink lots of water, do all the things that you tell your kids to do as a small business. Now, I'm quite excited about today's program because it's a topic that we haven't yet covered, but it's something that we don't often consider as small businesses when we're running it. We're running around looking after ourselves. We're often looking after other people. We've got lots of hats on, but we don't think about the qualities that make us a good business owner. And one of those really important qualities is leadership. So running a small business can be quite solitary. It can be daunting, and it can be a little bit isolating at times. We work for ourselves, by ourselves, and we don't think about leadership and mentoring to be an important factor in business development. But it is. They are really important factors, not only to grow your business, which we're all very keen to do as small business owners, but also for us to actually grow as human beings, to think about the qualities and how we're growing as I guess a person, because we are both people and businesses. We often don't realise as small business owners how to tap into those qualities that we possess. So sometimes we all need a little bit of help, and here at Small Biz Matters, we're all about developing your small business education through the expertise of others. So today we've got Harry and Raj Nathoo, from Keystone Focalpoint Coaching and Advisory, a local small business, and they're going to share with us their wisdom and experience. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you, Alexi, for a wonderful opportunity.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, I'm excited to have you guys because not only are you a successful small business unto yourselves, you deal with a lot of small businesses, but you're also in the education space as well. So, Harry, tell me a little bit about where you fit in with that and the community in Hornsby with relation to small business education, because that's an important thing that we don't know enough about in New South Wales in particular, but just anywhere.
Yeah, in terms of education, I mean, we work with a lot of training organizations where we contract our services, training services. So Raj is a specialist in certain, vet areas, particularly in leadership and management, also with customer engagement. And then he does a bit of the warehousing, training warehousing people who want to build skills in that area. But more importantly is that, over the years, he's done a lot of work with job seekers and giving them the skills so that they can find employment and help build sustainable communities. You know, that's the whole purpose of why we are in small business, and it's not only about building your own business, but really giving back to the community so the community gets stronger and strengthened by the skills that we share with them.
That's very true. And Raj, may I just ask you there, when you talk about those sort of courses, is it because it's courses in, because a lot of small businesses are really not great at continuing practicing education unless you're part of a professional association and they just force you to do it. Because we don't think about what's out there for us as small businesses and development. Are those the sort of courses that we should be tapping into as small businesses? There's lots of opportunities, aren't there?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of courses that you can do through any training organization, any registered RTO, as they are known, but there are also professional development courses that small business owners should take. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I know from my own experience, if I didn't take the initiative to learn the things that I've known today, I wouldn't be able to help other people for that matter, or even grow my own business or run my own business, because you've got to keep up with the changing in technology, the way your market is changing. You've got to change as well, and you've got to be tuned in, really speaking.
So apart from doing those industry-specific things where we have to tap into what's going on with software or what's going on with our own industry, you need to also grow and develop looking at the business, society and client base as a whole? Yeah,
that, and in addition to that, also soft skills, because there are a lot of things that you need to know how to communicate with customers in today that were never done before. You've got to be more sensitive to their needs and sensitive to market changes than ever before.
So let's talk about one of those soft skills. I assume soft skills is leadership skills. It's weird that they call it soft skills, isn't it? I mean, it's not. You need it, and you've got to be hard in order to be a good leader.
Very true.
So I think it's badly. It's got bad nomenclature. So that's obviously a really important leadership skills and confidence and being able to public speak and network and all those different things, apart from the sales and the marketing and the software and the finance and the legals and things. It's all those things that you need to wear as a hat. So if I was a small business owner which I am, and I wanted to improve my leadership skills because I was looking to expand, or I was looking to, dive into the networking groups in a little bit of a more forthright fashion.
Yeah.
Where do I even start?
I always believe that to be a successful leader, you've got to know yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very
understanding oneself is the key to everything else that you're going to do. Because as a small business person, you are always going to be networking with other people. And so having a good understanding of yourself, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your communication style is, your social skills, your level of empathy, your level of motivation, your self-regulation, all those things which we call emotional intelligence.
Yep.
Very different to IQ. So a lot of people get confused between IQ and EQ. We're talking about emotional intelligence. And when you know your own level of emotional intelligence, that helps you to not only manage yourself, but how you're going to interact with the community at large, with people who you want to do business with. At the end of the day, you can sell the best product and everything in the world. There's no uniqueness anymore left about what you're selling. But what you give in terms of customer service, that is the lasting impression that you're going to leave with your prospective buyers.
I love the way you just said, you kept on saying your emotional intelligence, so it's all about, I guess what you're saying is it's about understanding what your limitations and where you need to grow, but also just accepting that, wow, I've got some really good skills here and I need to make the most of them as well.
Well, in EQ we call that self-awareness. And the more you are aware of how you're coming across to other people, how you're coming across to your customers mostly, it's extremely important, because sometimes we get so caught up in the moment and we're not listening, not watching the customer's body language, not listening to what they're actually telling us, but we're more focused on the message that we want to get out. And as a result, we're losing the customer because he's, this guy's not addressing my particular needs. It's all about him and not about me.
And the importance of finding that balance between listening and also trying to get the message across. But it sounds to me like what you're saying is wrapped up in all those soft skills and emotional intelligence and knowing is really making sure that you're giving yourself, and you as the person, you're making a genuine connection with that person. Am I right in saying that?
That's right.
Yeah. I think the big word today is authenticity. The people that you're talking to, your customers, they want to see you for what you are, not having that mask in front of you and hiding behind that. Automatically, it discounts the trust that they might want to build in you. So you want to be authentic. You want, as Harry said earlier, you want to be yourself. And in order to do that, you have to know yourself.
Mm-hmm. And so one of those soft skills is obviously, emotional intelligence and wrapped up in that. Now, just from a theoretical point of view, where does leadership fit in that? Is it one of the emotional intelligence qualities you need to be aware of, or do we need a diagram to show people? It's hard to show people in a diagram on radio. But why do you guys consider yourself specialists in leadership? Why is it so important that, I'm a small business owner. I don't have anybody I lead. Who am I leading? Why do I need to be tapped into that quality?
Well, it's so important. It goes back to what I said right at the beginning. It's so important that you have a good understanding of yourself, because having a good understanding of yourself, having a passion that you want to do something, you have a particular skill, and you want to know, how can I maximize the opportunity with that skill or that passion that I have? Leadership plays an important part, because part of leadership is that you got to be innovative, you got to be a futuristic thinker, you got to have integrity. And if you have that integrity, people respect you. That's where you build trust, and that's where you build relationships with people. That is so critical. So it doesn't matter whether you're a solopreneur who's just starting out your own business. It is important for you to know what your own level of emotional intelligence is, because you're going to interact with people. What are your social skills? What's your level of motivation? What's driving you to get up every morning to do what you do?
Apart from the money, which eventually comes.
Yes, and money is not something that should be driving you. It's what can you do to make somebody else's life better? How can you solve their problem?
That's right.
And if you can solve their problem, money will come as a result.
That's often true, isn't it?
Yes.
We as small business owners, we have passion, we have drive, and I think for a lot of us, money is a little bit secondary to that. Unless you're coming from, the big wig corporate world and you're becoming a consultant and you're used to having everything fall in your lap, you're about to get a very rude shock. But all those soft skills that we were talking about earlier, they just form a part of that. Can I ask you, Raj, with when it comes to packaging this up, I can't imagine soft skills are the easiest thing to teach. So if I'm looking for a soft skills course, what do I expect to learn from these sort of things, apart from how to walk into a networking room and connect with others?
Look, I mean, one of the things we always want to propagate is doing one of these scientific assessments, which don't take very long to do, either emotional intelligence or a DISC. This gives you a very good idea of what kind of communication style you have and what you expect from other people and how they should communicate with you.
Now, let me just stop you there, because a lot of people aren't familiar with those what are the words? Not algorithm. The word, the anecdote. The letters. They're not familiar with the letters. Okay. So the DISC. What's that stand for again?
So DISC, for argument's sake, stands for dominance, how dominant you are, whether you're coming across as a dominant person to other people. I stands for influential, whether you're influential in what you're doing, how you come across in the topic that you're speaking about, whether people believe you in that. S stands for steadiness. Are you stable in your work environment, in the things that you do, your tenure in your work, how long you stay in a particular job, and how you like to receive information from other people. And we can go into greater detail in each of these. And C stands for compliance, whether you like to follow the order, the rules, the policies and procedures. So each of those are specific to every one of us, but we never just one of them. We are a combination of each of them.
I was going to say, because we are human beings. So
we never, it's never black or white.
Yeah. And my understanding is that when you do one of these, and they are available online, and obviously I think, are they on your website as well to do those? So when you do one of these, you kind of answer a whole lot of what I find to be not really relevant questions, but they are relevant because obviously testing you for these things. And then you end up with something that sits in a quadrant, and you find out
which ones are your dominant traits and our behavioral style, as we say, for DISC in particular. That gives you an idea of your communication style and how you like other people to communicate with you. So if you're in a small business where you have a small team beneath you, under you, or each of your managers, it changes the whole dynamic of how communication takes place in the workplace. Because if you get everyone in your team to do an assessment like this, it creates more harmony, because you now understand how other people like to receive information from you and they understand how you like to receive information. So as an example, if you're a business leader and your main trait is a D, which is dominance, you don't like to receive a lot of information. You just like to receive the critical information. So don't send that person who's your manager volumes of information to read. They're not interested. Give them the most important points in bullet points, and they'll come back to you if they need more information. But if that same leader, dominant trait is a C, a compliance person, give them more information. They just love reading, and they want to see where your train of thought is coming from, so they can understand that. So that's the opposite of the two, just as an example. In Australia at the moment, most people are scoring as either I or S, influential or steady, for some reason.
Is that because lots of people are doing these courses and somebody's bringing all that data together?
Not really. I think the whole demographic of Australia is changing, where we're getting a lot of migrants from, say, Southeast Asia and other countries. And they bring in a different style of communication.
Of course, it's a cultural thing,
exactly,
isn't it?
right.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the main reasons, compared to in the past where a lot of people originated from Europe, UK in particular. In America, D is still the most dominant.
It's just
it stems from the president, I guess.
Yeah, just have to look at their culture and their leadership at the moment. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it, because I have a couple of employees, and hopefully people who do have a small team, as you were saying those things, might have thought to themselves, I know how that person reads emails, and I know how they like to be spoken to. I mean, that takes time, obviously, but I guess doing one of these surveys or analytical tools helps you in your business. So Harry, I've got the information, the data's arrived, I'm looking at the results. The big thing, if I've got a small team, or even just I'm dealing with clients, how do I implement that information effectively, even just with a few little tidbits of information from a DISC something that I've done online?
Yeah, look, I mean, typically when somebody does a DISC assessment, I know this is what we do, is that we will do a debrief with that person. So we'll sit down and we'll go through the full report with them and show them where the areas of strength are, and then also where the gaps are. So how they can use that information to address the gaps that they have. What Raj was talking about, in terms of DISC today has gone way beyond what we know DISC as. There's actually a triple science assessment now, and that taps back into your original question about soft skills. And this particular assessment, what it can do is actually mark you across 25 different types of skills that you will need throughout your working life. And those are things like, are you a futuristic leader? Are you innovative? How do you manage conflict in the workplace? How do you handle stress? Negotiation skills. Customer service. It measures you across all of those things. And this is what we tell a lot of our clients as well, that don't spend money haphazardly just trying to say, well, I think we need to do some training for our staff and give them some communication skills.
Yeah, figure out what the training needs to be.
Figure out exactly what they need and address that.
Use a scientific approach.
And use that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when clients actually, implement that strategy, they find that in the long term, they're saving a lot of money because now the training is very, very targeted to their specific needs.
Yeah, I remember when I was working at a marketing company about 10 years ago now. Yeah. And, the boss came in, and it was a small company. There was only about 15 employees there. And he came racing in one day, and I was the office manager, and he said, I need you to find me some courses to do. And I was like, pardon? It was really haphazard because somebody had planted a seed in his mind going, oh, that's right, at some point I've got to give my staff some training. Yeah. And that's actually what a lot of small business owners don't realise, because we're not HR experts or lawyers, is you actually need to be training your staff, and it needs to be beyond the occasional webinar every now and then on the software that they're using. You actually need to think about these soft skills and courses that they can do to improve as people.
Just been on that comment of yours where your boss walked in and asked you to find some courses. That's a mistake a lot of businesses make, where they then say, well, that one looks interesting and government's providing some funding or things like that, but it may not be what your staff actually need or what your business actually needs. And and that's where Harry and I have become a little disillusioned with that approach and started looking at coaching as a more a better way of addressing training needs in businesses, because it's more targeted. It can be more individual based as well. And
that's that's another model as well, of course, is utilising business coaching. Because I guess that's a more targeted approach and very much a tailored approach for small businesses. Yeah. Look, we're going to take a quick break here on Small Biz Matters with Alexi Boyd. After we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about, so we've looked at examining soft skills and leadership when you're maybe a small team. Let's look at your team is expanding, you're part of a larger team, and obviously leadership skills actually become quite crucial to the running of your business. You're listening to Small Biz Matters. We'll be back after this. So we're talking today all about leadership qualities, and just before the break we were having a chat to those of you out there who are small business owners, micro business owners with, say, 1 to 3 employees, and you're thinking about how you can tap into and improve your leadership skills in order to not only improve your business but actually grow as a person. And I know, Raj, one of the things you're mentioning was talking about doing some online testing. Yep. It is largely available for free, but I think it's like anything. If you pay monkeys, get peanuts. If you pay for something decent and you get a decent report back on it, then you get it. It's your time. You've got to value your time.
True.
These things are not. It's not going to take you 5 minutes. These things take typically half an hour
half an hour
to an hour. If you're doing one that's only 20 minutes, it's really not worth it, is it?
Well, the dangers with the free ones is they're not validated by any company.
Right. Yes.
So, and there's no. You don't know whether you get an authentic report or not. Yeah. Whereas the paid ones do. Yeah. And there's a number of them available.
Check it out. And of course, make sure that you're checking out local businesses as well, because we always talk about keeping it local here on Small Biz Matters. So let's talk a little bit about a different audience. So you've got a business which is becoming more and more successful, say hypothetically, and you've got a team of 10 and you're looking to expand to a team of 20. Now, this is where leadership really kicks in and becomes an important part of that business development. Now, I'm standing at the abyss of, I've got 10, I know I'm going to grow. When is the best time to go, I'm the one who needs some training now? Do you wait until the team is expanded and you're actually a leader, or do you actually do it before the team has? What do you think, Harry?
Well, I think if you're expanding, then firstly, it's all about change. And change is how you're going to manage that change. And if you manage it effectively, then the people that join your business and going to grow with you will able to fit into that change. They will able to work things out a bit more cohesively. So the way we look at it is that the leader, it starts with the leader, and the leader's got to be prepared for that change. And so you draw a whole roadmap as to how that leader is going to engage with the rest of the team, and also how he or she is going to manage that growth themselves. So the mindset has got to be there.
So we're not just talking about leadership now. It sounds to me like you're talking about change management as well.
Yes, that's all. With growth comes change, right? So even if it's minute, it's going to be there, and there's going to be some disruption in the way you've worked before, and so you've got to be able to cope with that and how you're going to deal with it. Sometimes we look at growth and we're too focused on the end result, and we forget about the journey. And if the journey is not smooth, it becomes very disruptive. So you never get to the end, to where you want to, where you see yourself eventually landing up. So I think it's very important that leaders understand that, and especially if it's already a team of 10 or 12, there would be some people in that leadership team. Now, there are some organizations who have used a tool which is actually the first in Australia. It's an artificial intelligence tool. And what that tool does is that it actually measures across 24 different factors and helps business leaders to identify where the strengths are within their team and where the gaps are. And that, by knowing that, it will help that leadership team then to prepare for that growth and the change that is going to come.
So you're suggesting that using an AI tool to, I guess, assess your qualities and requirements as a team.
Yes.
Isn't that just an assessment tool? I'm not sure how AI comes into this.
It's more of a business diagnostic.
This is a business diagnostic.
So the tools we spoke about earlier, the EQ and the DISC and even motivational mapping, which is another one, they're measuring yourself. Whereas what Harry's talking about is a business diagnostic. So we look at the leadership qualities in the team, the people qualities in the team, and the operational capacities in the team. So we're looking at in the business as a whole, rather. So when we're looking at that, we're understanding where are the gaps in the business, what needs to be done, where can training be focused to improve the team, and as Harry mentioned, change. So where is the change going to be most disruptive, and what do we need to do to plug those gaps?
Right. And that's hard, I think, from someone who's coming from the perspective of not having utilised these diagnostic tools before.
Yeah.
You're saying that, and I'm just thinking, I don't even understand where that comes in. I've got a group of people, and I need to manage them, and I've never done this sort of thing before. I've just exploded and expanded so quickly, and I suppose this is why so many companies fall over at this point in time.
Yep.
So if I've got the tools and the diagnostics in front of me, is it literally going to give me, sorry, I hate to bring back to a checklist, but I'm obsessed with them. Is it going to give me things I need to do to improve these qualities and improve the cohesion of the team?
Yep.
Simple as that.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
What it does is it measures across 24 different factors. That's leadership, people, and operations. And it will identify where the gaps are and also where the strengths are within that team. And then it will give you a priority list, 1, 2, 3, 4, almost like a traffic light system.
Love that.
All right, and it will tell you that priority 1 are things that you need to address immediately. But the interesting thing is that when you address the first priority, you could be ticking off the boxes for the second and the third priority as well.
Because it's known, it's already,
everything's interlinked.
Yes.
It's interlinked, and the good thing, and coming back to where you mentioned that isn't this just another type of assessment? With an AI diagnostic, it is non-linear. So you don't know, it's as if you're talking to a human being and you don't know what questions are going to be asked to you. Depending on your response, the next question could be from any of, could be an operational question, or it could be a people question.
So that's how the IO kicks in. It's taking an immediate response that I'm giving. Please don't tell me it's also reading the tone of my voice.
Not yet.
It's coming.
But it's called machine learning.
But it is looking at your responses. So before it does ask the next question, a couple of seconds go before it will think up on your response and say, okay, what's the next best question to ask?
Okay.
So if you try to fudge it, you're going to get caught out. Right?
Yeah.
And why would you?
Are you talking to a computer? Is that what's happening? Are you getting asked questions by a computer and then you're...
Well, it's all...
Is it a computer voice?
It's not voice.
No, it's no voice.
Okay.
It's no voice.
So that's a good thing about it. I would hate that too, actually.
But you are talking, you are, in inverted commas, talking to another person, which is your computer, and it's asking you questions.
Yeah.
Which you're going to answer, and every time you give a response, it's going to think about your response and say, well, what's the next best question to ask?
Yep.
Until it has sufficient information to be able to give you a report. Yeah. And it will then tell you, and that could be 60 minutes later, and say, okay, I've got enough information, press the submit button, and within a couple of seconds, you'll get a report.
Wow.
All right. And
this is actually really exciting.
It's amazing.
This is futuristic.
We've used this with our clients, and we've already implemented a lot of the recommendations that the report.
So could you give me an example of a client where you've actually implemented something like this, something quite practical?
A very interesting client, actually, a property developer, and he and his team took the assessment. When he saw the results, very skeptical, didn't want to believe the results at first. Then we went through the results with him. And as we went through each and every page of the report, he started understanding where the results were coming from. And the first thing, the priority one was that your team are lost. And they need a new vision, a new set of goals.
Oh, okay.
And he could understand why he wasn't getting the input that he used to get from them before, because they see what's going on in the property market, so they're thinking, well, what's going on in this economy? Do we have a job or things like that? So the first mission for this year was come up with a new set of visions, new set of a mission, and a new set of values. And we actually brainstormed that for a whole day session. It's an amazing session. And the outcome from that was a mission, vision, and value statement that they actually wrote up themselves. Not me doing it for them.
Yeah,
we
so
just sort of guided them.
A team thing.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
So you've not only got the analysis tool, but then you've actually implemented it, and you've got a team cohesion building exercise, and people feel like they've got a future in the business.
Exactly, and so you get buy-in from your people. So they identify with the business, and they then want to work towards those goals and the vision of the company. That's what keeps employees engaged in the business, when they feel that they are contributing and they are respected for their contribution. That's what makes great leaders.
And it sounds almost quite simplistic, but I guess in having those leadership goals and those missions laid out and set out in front of them with something that they've agreed to, setting KPIs, setting targets, that becomes quite easy, I imagine.
Yeah, look, I mean, KPIs are a big numbers thing, but the main thing that we lose focus of, a lot of leaders lose focus of, is how do we have fun in what we're doing? Where's the happiness factor? So this is what we want to focus on as well, not just the numbers, but get employees to be motivated to come to work because they love coming to work, because of the relationships they're building in the workplace.
Yeah, nobody wants to work in the office like they do in the UK.
I mean, a survey was done among Australian employees that what's the most important thing for you in the workplace? And they said relationships, not money. That was, I think, number 5 or 6 on the list.
Oh, wow.
But relationships was the main thing.
So we need to remember that when we're running a small business as well.
The other thing is this, Alexi, a lot of, as you probably read a lot even in the papers, and HR professionals will talk about, employee engagement. So there's this big thing about employee engagement, because Gallup reports show that, only 53% of employees are actually engaged in their work. And this is because of many other reasons. It could be personal reasons why they're not engaged enough in the workplace. But nobody seems to talk about employee experience. And there's a big difference between employee experience and employee engagement. So the employee experience really starts is what sort of experience are leaders giving to their people from the time that they recruit them through to the onboarding process and the training and development that follows. What experience are you giving that employee? If they have a wonderful experience with you and they enjoyed the onboarding and the whole recruitment process, they will stay with you because they see that there's a future for them there and that they will be able to contribute.
Or even so, even if they don't, because I mean we know that the reality is that these days younger and younger generations are seeing a time, in a particular job as being 2 years as being too long.
Yeah.
So we have to sort of rethink the way we engage with those people.
Yeah.
And to say, they're not necessarily going to stay with us forever, but they may become an incredibly good resource and a great contact within the industry because you've trained them up and made them fabulous, and then they go off. And guess what? They're part of your small business team because they're part of the network that you operate in as well.
Well, one of the reasons why employees do leave also is because leaders or owners, business owners, have not understood their employees' motivations.
Yeah.
Why are they still coming to work, or why are they coming every day to work?
Do you suggest that's a conversation you have right at the beginning? Why? How long do you want to be in this job?
Yeah.
And in an honest, format. How long do you want to be here, and what are you hoping to grow from? What are you hoping to learn from being in this job?
Why have you applied for this role?
Yeah.
More so.
Yeah.
Is it because you just want a job? Because you need to earn
Tick a
an
box.
income? Yeah, tick a
For that
box.
first role,
Right.
things like that.
And again, that's where a lot of the assessment tools come in. I mean, there's a tool called just Motivational Maps. It's a UK-based tool. We offer that tool, but it's an excellent tool that ticks off boxes about who you are as a person and what's actually getting you up every morning to do what you do. And that way, you'll know whether you're actually in the wrong job. I mean, we had a client that was working for a financial planning business, and she just took on that job because she needed an income.
Yeah.
But her real passion was to teach piano lessons. And when she did this diagnostic and realized that was really what she wanted to do, she quit her job and actually went and became a piano instructor.
Let me guess, much happier than where she was
Much happier,
previously.
earning probably 3 times more than what she was earning.
Oh, wow.
And working on the hours that she wants to work. And being a single parent, she was able to then also look after her kids.
But you can't do that. You can't do that without the diagnosis and really understanding what your strengths and weaknesses and motivations and all those things are. So even as human beings, it's probably a good idea for us as small business owners to tap into that knowledge. And like you were saying earlier with the AI and the diagnostic tools, there's a lot out there that we can utilise.
That's
There's
right.
a great book by, there's a company in the USA called Zappos. Many people have not heard of them here because whenever we're doing training and I mention them, I use them as a case study many times. Everyone refers to a lolly, but it's not that. They actually the largest.
I just saw the lolly.
But they're actually the largest online shoe retailer in the world.
Oh.
And imagine, so it was actually founded by a guy called Tony Hsieh. That's Hsieh. And he wrote a book called Delivering Happiness. I would advise your listeners to actually read that book. It's an amazing book. It provides insight into how you can bring what Harry called the customer experience, employee experience to your employees.
Well, that's a really good idea because it shows you a case study on really someone who's taken all those things, wrapped them all up and then implemented them and then had the experience and the growth as a result. Yeah. It's funny because we just get so bogged down in, I guess, numbers and growth, and we think of growth as more staff or more clients or numbers, really. Whereas we need to start thinking of those soft skills and growing and developing as people as well.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break here on Small Biz Matters on Triple H and across the CRN, but we'll be back after these community service announcements to talk more about leadership and growing your business. And welcome back to Triple H 100.1 FM and Small Biz Matters with me, Alexi Boyd. Here today we've got Harry and Raj Nathoo from Keystone Focalpoint Coaching. Yeah, that's a long one, isn't it? And we're talking all about leadership qualities, soft skills, how to tap into them. If you've missed any of today's show, there's a great way to catch up, which is via smallbizmatters.com.au. And if you're not doing so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the Small Biz Matters podcasts on iTunes and also on Spotify. There are over 50 to listen to hours and hours of small business education in long form, great conversations with people like the expert sitting across from me today. So we were talking a little bit about, just before the break, leadership qualities, how to analyse what sort of great options there are out there for tools and diagnostic experiences online for both you and your team, how to roll it out, and then how to reap the benefits. So I want to talk a little bit about delivering happiness, and basically you've got these tools now, and I guess you've been sent on your way by these analytics. What are you aiming for as a business owner? What do you see in your client base as a complete task? I mean, what is the ultimate goal for these tools when they're implemented in a business?
Well, the outcomes really for the business leader or the owner is that when he implements all the recommendations that the tools identify, is that he will have more motivated and happy staff. They'll be more productive. They'll feel that they're part of the decision-making process, and they'll stay. So it helps with staff retention rates, improves productivity, and motivation within the team, less conflict. Those are the big pluses, and that's what business leaders are really looking for, is to increase that engagement level of staff. But that comes through better employee experience. And with that, ultimately, if staff have a good employee experience, it improves engagement. But then it also brings about better customer experience and customer engagement. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it's your customer that will tick the final box as to whether they're going to buy from you ever again.
Isn't that funny, in that journey that you just described? Yeah. The very last thing was about the dollars. Yep. The very last thing. Because that's really none of us want to go to work in any business that is unmotivated, depressed, angry, all those icky feelings.
It's like Richard Branson says that, when you ask him, who are the most important people in your business, he says, my employees.
That's it.
Not the clients.
Yeah. Not the clients.
And even using the Zappos case study again as an example, when Zappos first started off, they were based in San Francisco and they had about 70-odd employees. But the employees they were attracting were mostly university students in their call center. And they then decided, we want to relocate where we can attract the right employees because we want people that actually stay. And after doing some research, even maybe outsourcing to India and Philippines and the like, they thought, no, we'll move to Las Vegas. So they relocated to Las Vegas. But when the day came when they told the employees that we're moving, obviously it's going to create a sadness in the company because these guys like working there, or loved working there rather. And then when the employees started talking among themselves, they found out that their closest families were their colleagues. They would go to barbecues on weekends and their children's functions and events and birthday parties because they were friends at work. And so when the company relocated to Las Vegas, 70% of their staff moved with them.
What? 70%?
Yep. So they sold their homes and whatever, and they relocated and moved to Las Vegas. And today, that company's got over 700 people working for them.
Wow. And now they've all got gambling issues. No.
And it starts with the employee experience.
And not the bottom line, and not necessarily. The bottom line. I mean, obviously, you've got to have money in order to employ people, but it's interesting that in all the chat that we've had today, it's very much been about the engagement, the experience, the learning, the drive, you becoming a leader and you becoming, I guess, a better human being. And of course, as logic dictates, learning all these soft skills, it feeds back into your own life as well.
That's right. Yeah. It helps you in every aspect of your personal relationships with your wife, with your children, with your husband, with your broader extended family, with your friend circle, with your community.
It's interesting. You just made that comment because we had a client who actually took the disc and was so amazed at the accuracy of the report. He told his wife about it. His wife said, I've been telling you that for the past 40 years. And so he got his wife to do one as well.
Yeah, but I bet she was spot on with what she knew to be her disc.
I mean, a wife of 40 years, she knew him in and out.
Yes. Are you listening there, husbands? Are you listening to that?
But I'll share the secret. Men, don't feel threatened by this. What has happened since they both did their disc assessments is that the husband in 40 years has decided that he's going to start cooking on Fridays, something which he's never done all his life. So he's beginning to cook.
Cooking on Fridays.
At least once a week, he says, I will cook the dinner.
Well, when we showed him her report, and one of the things that came out in her report was that once in a while she would like to receive some flowers. And he actually took a bunch of flowers home.
He needed a diagnostic call to tell him
That's
that.
right.
Awesome.
But the thing is, it was great because it brought about a change in behavior.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, it's these soft skills. It's about us growing as human beings and not just being leaders in industry.
But the thing is, when you leave home as a leader, you don't leave your husband or relationship hat at home and then pick up a leadership hat. Be the same person in the workplace. Be authentic so that people can trust you. You're just one person.
Alexi, we also part of the Brian Tracy International. That's where our whole business model started off from. But one of the things that Brian Tracy talks about is the triangle of where you got attitude on the one side, you got skills on the other side. And you got knowledge at the bottom of the triangle. So just imagine a triangle. So you got on the left, you got knowledge, on the right you got attitude, and at the bottom you've got knowledge. And what they found was that it's not the knowledge or the skills that will make you successful in life. It is the attitude. Over 80% of people who did this test found that their success was based on the attitude, their behavior. Right? So everything that we do, whether you're a leader or whether you're just an employee, your attitude is going to determine your success at work.
Well, I think that's an absolutely fantastic way to wrap up the program today. Think of the triangle. Think of all these diagnostic tools that are available to you out there as a business owner. And don't forget, as business owners, whether we're solopreneurs or we're running a big business, whether you're hugely successful, we are all leaders. We are leaders of our business because we run our businesses. We are leaders in the room as experts, positioning ourselves as the experts when we're networking, for example, and having the expertise when you use it publicly, such as on a radio show. I'd like to thank you guys very much for coming on the show. Now, how can people find out a little bit more about you and the tools that you offer?
Yes, so Alexi, our website is keystonefocalpoint.com.au. All one word, keystonefocalpoint.com.au. You can also call us on our landline, which is 02 888 3678. We are based at Bella Vista at the Norwest Business Park. And, we'd like to hear from listeners. We have a lot of conversations with small business owners and give them advice and guidance. Happy to have a chat and see really what's keeping you up at night and how we can help you.
Well, I'd like to thank Harry and Raj Nathoo from Keystone for joining us today. It's been a really brilliant program. I'd like to thank you for sharing your expertise. And of course, today, if you've missed any of today's program, you can catch up via the podcast on iTunes and wherever you get your podcasts, as well as smallbizmatters.com.au, where you can find up to 120 podcasts with all the scripts. As my husband says, not everybody wants to listen to the sound of your voice. Some people just like to read, so there is information there as well. And if you are an expert in your field and would like to share with us your knowledge like these guys have today, then get in touch, smallbizmatters.com.au. Thanks for joining us today. I'll see you all next week on Small Biz Matters on Triple H 100.1 FM with Alexi Boyd. We'll be back in another week's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.